Hey everybody, welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda, and I'm here with my brother Eric.
How you guys doing? This is our Thanksgiving episode of Stranger Things, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I know we have a Thanksgiving episode of Friends coming out later this week, but happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Amanda, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thanksgiving. Yes. Well, and this will be released slightly before. We're in Thanksgiving week now.
We sure are.
So we do have a Friends episode that's coming out right on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And to be clear, this isn't Thanksgiving with the crew. It's Stranger Things. This is just Thanksgiving week for us.
No, it's just for us.
Like, we're not carving a turkey.
The people outside the television. This is for us.
The people outside the television.
Not in the real world or the upside down, but the people actually outside the television space.
That's true.
But we are jumping into season 2, episode 6, which is chapter 6, The Spy today. And before we get going, again, in our Thanksgiving mode, we just want to thank everybody for all the support you guys have given us as we try to get this thing off the ground. So thank you for checking out our socials, our Instagrams, our TikToks, our YouTube, and of course for listening to our podcast here, whether you find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever. Thank you so much for tuning in and helping us build this community.
Yeah, we have so much gratitude for you guys that are listening in. If anyone has caught even more than one episode, you rock. Thank you. So glad to have you, and please help us spread the word. And so to catch up to where we currently are today, as Eric said, we're covering season 2, episode 6, or chapter 6, The Spy. But just as a quick reminder of where we left this group, Bob was helping Joyce, Will, and Mike save Hopper, who was trapped in the Upside Down. Dustin was trapping Dart in his cellar. 11 was learning about her mom's past, and we had Nancy and Jonathan connecting with Murray Bowman, while Lucas was telling Max everything. Whether she believed it or not at that point, it didn't seem like so much.
Not so much.
But that's where we left this group. And so really just to jump right in here, we're on chapter 6, and it's called The Spy.
Well, we jump in here with Will being rushed to the hospital. We get a scene with Hopper being like hosed down right out of the gates, and they are checking for burns all over Will because he is complaining about all of this like heat, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, that's right, because at the end of the last season is really when, to get Hopper out, the guys in the hazmat suits started just using flamethrowers essentially on all of these vines, and as they're doing that, Will is reacting violently. So we have Joyce running beside him in the hospital as he's being wheeled in on this gurney, and he's just surrounded by medical staff. Dr. Owens was there, and they're reading off. He has a heart rate of 220, a temperature of 106. So he's
Seems
not
high.
looking so good.
No.
Yeah. No. And, Hopper, meanwhile, was being like decontaminated in the other room. Is being hosed down. And, meanwhile, Will is screaming violently, and he's being injected with some giant needle, probably to sedate him, I imagine. And so it was just a brutal scene. You just really feel bad for whatever Will is feeling in that moment. And then you have Dustin and Steve. While this is happening, Dustin and Steve are driving back to Dustin's cellar, where Steve is asking, how do you know that this thing isn't just a giant lizard? And Dustin's like, well, it kind of ate my cat. So I think we're dealing with something a little bit more aggressive and intense here. And Steve is, I love how Dustin is just handing Steve the flashlight. And he's like, yeah, just go down there and check it out, Steve. And Steve is going down there with his bat.
Well, I think he actually went and got Steve because he knows he has the bat. and the bat
Oh, okay.
was successful at one point in time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Well, he also just kind of ran into Steve.
he did
though.
run
that
into
was just
Steve.
sort of happenstance.
But
yeah.
so when it happened, it was like, hey, you've done this. You have the bat.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like, I need some help, and nobody else is around. So let's make this a thing, as opposed to
That's
just
right.
letting Steve walk up to the Wheeler's door with the flowers and going on and
right.
trying to find somebody else. Steve's a part of this too. So
Yeah.
let's get him involved here. And I do like Steve just kind of like banging on the door, like with the top of the bat, like, hey, but it sounds awfully quiet. And so when they do open the door, they're looking with flashlights and they can't see anything. And they're like, well, he must be farther down in there. So Steve goes in with the bat and Dustin says, I'll stay outside, just in case he tries to escape. To which I'm thinking, well, you're just going to like lock Steve in there? Like you're just going to shut the door on both of them and say, sorry, it's been fun.
I know. And
but
then Steve ends up calling back to Dustin and saying like,
because he finds like a skin like a snake, which we have seen from Dart before, where he has like shed a layer, and that just means he's grown a whole lot more. And so
he's transformed into his next stage of life.
Yes.
At this point.
And as they're examining, Steve finds in the corner that Dart has dug out the back corner and has essentially created one of these, tunnels that we've seen from everywhere else. One of these tunnels that leads out and into the forest, and he's on the loose.
Yeah, Dart has Shawshanked his way out of this cellar.
Oh, yeah. And he didn't do it over years. He did it very quickly.
No. And he did not leave a poster in front of the hole.
No poster.
No poster. So,
sad.
Yeah. And then I love right before the credits roll, the camera like pans out and you just get this this scene of all the treetops, and so you're seeing into the distance and you just hear this scream from the Demogorgon that's like, oh, that's not good. It's out in the wild now, and there's no more containment. This is
not even a little bit.
No.
But then we go to the buyer's house, and we have the Department of Energy kind of in there just snapping photos of all of Will's drawings and all the things that they may need for one reason or another. And I mean, to me, I was very confused at this scene originally. I mean, it came off as, man, they're just in here trying to like undermine everybody still. Like they're just trying to steal information where they can get it from. It did not come off as, hey, this could be actually helpful to Will in the future, which it ends up being very helpful to Will in the future. But
well, that's kind of I feel like this episode was a little bit of a tone shift in that way, and also as we'll get to around Dr. Owens, I don't think he's all bad. Like I think that he seems to be one of the only doctors that seems to be actually looking out for Will, but we'll get more into that soon. And then I don't want to get your take on that too, Eric, but
like that needs to be discussed.
Yeah, for right here we have Joyce also being questioned by Dr. Owen's men. Then around this table, all these white coats are sitting around, and she's saying, you said to be patient, and these were your words. Stay calm, trust you. Like, come on, dude. And she's just saying, like, be real. Just be straight with me. How am I supposed to trust anything that you're saying? And they're repeating back to her, you'll get the very best treatment here, Mrs. Byers. Some white suit is just trying to calm her down. And, she's just saying, no one in this room knows what's wrong with my boy. Tell me what's wrong with him. And no one has answers for her. So
well, and she wants to get him transferred, but like, listen.
Yes.
We all know this is not normal. You can't just walk into any hospital with this situation. And I'm not saying that these guys are the best to handle the situation either. They're clearly not. but they at least are aware of everything that's going on. If you go to some other hospital and try to tell them what's going on, they're going to think you're insane.
Yeah, not even Dr. House is going to help you here.
He might. He might be the only one.
Bring Hugh Laurie in. Where's Hugh Laurie?
Bring him in.
But then we have Murray Bowman with Nancy and Jonathan, and they're making copies of that tape to mail out to all of these different news organizations. And you show them stuffing the envelopes here, but you don't actually see them dropping them in the mail in this episode. And so that did stick out to me. I'm thinking, did those ever make it out? I don't know if Eric, if you're recalling how that rolled out, but that was one question that I had here, a question mark a bit. I don't know if
it's a good question, I suppose. We theoretically, they've got them all signed up. We see that they've got one addressed to the Chicago Sun-Times.
Yeah.
So the assumption is that they've got them sent out all over the country to major news outlets.
Yeah. Whether they make
I am of the belief that Murray is left with all of them to dispatch.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem like a guy who would not do it.
It's true. I'm not remembering.
But we haven't seen it.
Exactly. That doesn't unfold, at least in this episode. So, but now we see them drinking a whole lot of that vodka that Murray had. And, then Nancy and Jonathan are planning on heading out. And Murray's like, why don't you guys just, you've been drinking a lot. Why don't you hang out here, take the guest room? And he's laughing at them because they're saying they're just friends. And he's like, sure. You guys are attractive. You're young. You have the shared trauma of it all. And, just take the guest room. And they're being all like giggly and weird. And it's like, wow, Murray, wow, way to
well, but Murray also then reads them like a book.
Yes.
He's like, what? Trust issues with you? Probably something with your dad? And you
so
just,
funny.
Don't want to go back to the comfort of someone. Who is it? And Jonathan's like, Steve.
I really appreciate how Murray Bowman's character brings that much needed comic relief to every moment that he's in. It's so good, and it goes on as we learn more about his character. But yeah.
Well, I love Murray saying, "Oh, we like Steve. We don't love Steve, do we?"
Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "No, well, and just is so like concerned about it, because she doesn't.
No,
because he's asked her point blank, and she didn't say it back multiple times.
Yeah, drunk or sober, so it's not looking good
Nope.
for Steve. And
Not looking great.
Then, Jonathan and Nancy are kind of doing that dance where they both go to their separate rooms and then both kind of get up. They see each other in the middle room, and then it's like, oh no, I was just out like getting a drink of water or something, whatever. And yeah, he was right. He wasn't right. Murray was wrong, and they try to just deny it again. And then finally you have Jonathan going back to Nancy's door. She opens it up and they finally kiss. And it's like, yeah, you two dummies.
I do like how they shot the camera work here.
Yes.
Where they made it look like Jonathan went back to his room and like committed to, I'm just staying here, and just was really frustrated. And then you saw Nancy being like, let me go out there. Let me talk to him one more time. And she goes to open the door and he's already standing there.
Yeah. It was,
and it's like, oh, he also was feeling the same way. Because
obviously.
And so here we are.
Jonathan just needed a little bit of vodka, I guess. I don't know. It's
maybe
just to loosen him up a little bit. So it's glad to see them connecting here. Although, ooh, bummer for Steve. So
Steve's gonna be fine. Steve's gonna be
Steve's
fine.
with Dustin now. It's cool. So he has his camaraderie there. So then we have the next scene with Erica playing with her Barbie. I like how it goes from like Steve from Jonathan and Nancy kissing to then you have Erica like mashing her like Barbie together with like Lucas's action figure making all these kissing sounds.
It was a He-Man. Let's get it straight.
Okay. All right. Well, and is He-Man not an action figure?
No, he is, but like, give him some respect.
Well, then Erica is calling Lucas's friends a bunch of nerds and saying, "Oh yeah, code red, code red. You guys are all nerds." And he's like, "Wait, what? What did they say?" And he finally runs into his room, grabs his walkie-talkie, and then he's trying to reach out to Dustin and connect with him. Um, and he is very surprised to hear that Dustin is hanging out with Steve Harrington of all people, because, like you said, Eric, hey, Steve was there. Steve knows what's going on.
Steve is.
We need all the help we can get.
At least,
here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Steve is,
and Steve's a bigger kid too, so it's like, hey,
he is.
Yeah.
Steve is like situation adjacent, right? He was in the mix.
That's right.
Right? He was there fighting the Demogorgon. So maybe I don't know how to explain it. It's not adjacent. He's in the action.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
he's more than adjacent.
But
he's parallel.
Right.
Yeah.
Parallel. We'll say with parallel. Yeah. Because here's the other piece to that. Steve didn't live all last season knowing what was going on. All the other characters were in it for weeks, it felt like.
Yeah.
Steve just kind of showed up at the last second and got thrown into the action on the day it was all going down. So he's a little less committed, I feel like, than the rest of them.
Yeah, he doesn't understand the severity, I think, of the situation, or understand that, there's some shit still going on here. This is still very much, actively happening.
But he did reference that he had to agree also to not tell anybody what was going on.
You're right, yeah.
So I think he does know what's going on, but he just didn't live it for a while. Jonathan and Nancy were in it for days, trying to hunt monsters down. And the boys were all trying to work with 11 for weeks, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Going through this whole thing. Meanwhile, nothing. Steve just shows up at the last second and grabs a bat and starts swinging. That's it.
And definitely not as in it as Hopper, who we see in this next scene, who is just throwing up, violently ill, which I feel like they might have also given him something to make him throw up whatever was inside of him, because he was having to get rid of that stuff that just kind of, dawned on me as I'm watching this. It's oh, I don't know if that's really him throwing up the tentacle pieces like Will did, or if it's more they were just trying to rid him, almost like you would have I forget what that's called when Ipecac, or something, if you have if you're ODing on something and they force you to put it they force you to get rid of the substance. I
don't believe that he had any tentacle pieces or anything.
No, I don't think so.
Because then he would be connected to the hive as
exactly.
Well.
Yeah. So, but then all these, actually, as he's throwing up, we have Dr. Owens coming in the room telling him to follow him, right? So he wants to show him something, and there are all these guys in hazmat suits, going way down into the upside down, and Dr. Owens is showing Hopper, hey, we have all these channels down here, and it's spreading and forming all these tunnels, and it kind of almost seems like it's spreading like a fungus would or something. And Dr. Owens is saying, hey, it's pretty impressive, isn't it? And
it is pretty impressive, to be honest with you, but it's also scary.
Yeah, and Hopper's kind of well, why aren't you burning it? And he's like, well, there's been a complication, and I assume he's talking about how it's impacting Will as they're trying to burn it. So, and then we flash right back to Will's hospital room, and we then understand that Joyce has really told Bob everything here. So she's really confided in him.
Well,
right?
Not really everything.
Okay.
Because he still says, and that's how he ended up getting lost in the woods. So she tells him enough.
That's true.
To make it sound like he's, he doesn't know everything. He definitely doesn't know everything. And we're not there for
what she tells him. So yeah, I guess
no.
Right. I guess not to the level that Lucas told Max. So
no way.
No.
But she explained enough to make it sound like Will's got this weird
virus.
Medical situation that like takes over his mind and makes him do weird things from time to time, and that's how we got lost in the woods.
That's okay.
And it's
Yeah,
like,
you're right. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
but not really though. Like
Yeah.
that's not what's truly happening here.
Yeah.
So Bob is at least on the know of that.
Yeah.
But he's still not fully in the know.
Well, and then you have Will waking up and seeing Bob
Yeah.
and not knowing him at all. He is asking, "Are you a doctor?" And this is now really impacting his memories. And Will just has this totally blank stare. I felt like this actor, Noah Schnapp, or Shap, sorry, Noah, did like this really great transition where he seemed like a different kid almost right here, where he went from being very present as Will to just having this totally different look on his face. To me,
Yeah.
I felt like he did a great job with that.
He immediately transitioned from I am Will to I am controlled by somebody else.
Yes, it was really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. And then you have this scene with Jonathan and Nancy and Murray all eating breakfast together, and again, Murray's kind of teasing them about the night before. And
Murray's great.
they're both looking pretty happy. This is a table of happy people glowing as they're eating breakfast. Meanwhile, they're having to deal with all this stuff, so it's like, all right, I guess things went well. So that was pretty fun.
He was like, how was the pullout?
Oh no.
And
No.
and Jonathan's like he's like, the sofa. How was
Lord.
and he's like, oh, it was great. He's like, I bet it was.
Oh my god. Wow. Murray. Dirty dog.
Awesome.
Oh.
Awesome.
Then we have Lucas
Super funny.
arriving at Max's house and ringing the doorbell, and I'm thinking, oh god, like, doesn't he remember brother crazy? Like, doesn't even want to be seen in the doorway, and now he's like aggressively ringing her doorbell. And then I love this scene with Billy inside smoking a cigarette, lifting a dumbbell, blasting music.
Listen.
What is that? Bill, you are just a picture of health.
How can we make this kid look like someone you want to hate?
Totally nuts. Yeah.
And he's just rocking out to super loud music, lifting weights like in what should be a living room, smoking a cigarette, drinking beer. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this guy is insane.
And I like in this episode a little bit later on when Max tells more of the story of what the deal is, like what's going on with their move. But still in this scene, I'm thanking, because there's really not a lot of furniture or even boxes of stuff around. And it's like, are there any adults here? What's happening?
You have no idea.
It looks like two kids are just kind of squatting in a house, like the way that they're hanging out in here. But Max,
like, they found an empty house and this is where they stay now. Yeah.
And then we have Max, she's going outside and saying to Lucas, Lucas is saying to her rather that he has proof of what's happening.
Yeah.
So he wants to really get her on board still. He's told her the story, and now he has something to show her. And when Max goes back inside, of course, Billy wants to know who the hell she was talking to. And I love Max's response here where she just says, Mormons, they were very talkative. And but then Max quickly runs to the back of the house where she is exiting out of the window and sneaking onto Lucas's bike, where they ride off together. And Billy at this point is none the wiser.
Thank goodness. Nobody likes Billy right now.
And then you have Dr. Owens asking Will a series of questions. And Will doesn't remember him either. He does know Mike, though. And he knows his mom. Hopper's also asking him, hey, do you know me, kid? He doesn't remember him. So it's like, he has these core memories to me of people that are like family to him. His mom, Mike, but otherwise he's not recalling.
But he doesn't know Owens.
No.
He doesn't know Dr. Owens. He doesn't know Hopper. He doesn't know Bob. But he knows Mike and Joyce, which makes a lot of sense. They've been in his life for
That's right. The
years.
long-term memory is there, which,
Yeah.
And, Will is saying the soldiers hurt him with the fire, and you shouldn't have done that. It upset him, is what Will is saying. So
Right.
he's
Right.
talking about this other part of him again. It's like, oh, that's never a good sign. And Dr. Owens is showing him pictures of his own drawings. So Eric, to like what you were saying from the beginning of this episode, where they're just going around taking photos, a lot of that is then what they're showing to Will now here, right? You're making a face. Is that not what
No.
you...
No, that's not yet.
I have him showing pictures of the spider demon and asking, is this him? And Will is nodding.
Oh. I thought we were talking about the photos on the table.
No, but he just has individual
that's not yet.
photos.
He has the picture. Yes, he has the individual photos.
Because Will is still in his bed.
That.
Yeah. And Will is nodding and he's saying, Dr. Owens is saying he wants to run a test to help them better understand what's going on here. And
like, for what it's worth, props to Dr. Owens here for even like connecting these dots.
Yes, right.
Like, the idea to run this test and this is far past anything you would get at another hospital.
Well, right.
Like, this is not a hospital. No. This is like a lab. This is a
research facility.
For like experiments.
Yeah.
Right. And so they are trying to see if this is connected, and it totally works. Because they've got this tentacle like in a bin, and they've got a guy with a blowtorch. Yeah. And they're going to like see, and so they bring the blowtorch close to the tentacle, and Will can feel himself getting warm. And then they bring it closer and closer and start burning more and more of the tentacle. And Will is in excruciating pain at this point. And so Hopper has to get involved and yell and be like, stop. And everything stops because Hopper said so. Which, again, doesn't make Bob look great.
I was just going to say that. I'd have to rewatch that scene, Eric. Like, where was Bob?
He has to be there.
I mean,
he's there
because
he's with Joyce. Joyce is there.
Well, because even in this next,
he's acting as he's acting as the de facto dad, and he's doing things that any dad would typically do in this sort of situation. But Hopper is the one who steps in as the real like protector when things get really too real. But Hopper is also all the way in the know on what's going on here. And Bob doesn't. Yeah, but so it doesn't look great for Bob. But at the same time,
regardless of what he knows and doesn't know, if you can see that this is hurting Will, then you would think that he would have been jumping in there too. So it's kind of like, Bob, where are you here? But
I think Bob is overwhelmed by everything at this point.
Yeah, and still just trying to make it make sense. And because I had that same question about this next scene where they're out in the hall with Dr. Owens, and when I say they, I'm saying just Joyce and Hopper. Like, Bob is not out in the hall with Dr. Owens hearing this explanation, and
No, because Bob can't be there. Because they all know, and Bob doesn't know.
You would think that he would have been wanting to be out there. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that was just what Joyce. Yeah, and maybe Joyce told him, just stay in with the boys. Keep them company with Will and Mike or something.
Either way, Bob has to be putting the pieces together that this story doesn't add up all the way. And this is where I'm saying, like, Joyce didn't tell him everything. Because otherwise he'd be out there. But he's not. He's not allowed to be there.
And Dr. Owens is saying it's a virus that's causing a neurological disorder, and it's like hijacking the host. It's alive, it has an intelligence, but this virus, it seems to be communicating with its hive intelligence, and they are all connected to the host. The good news is it can be cured. Yay! It's like, wow, what a relief. No.
That is positive.
And Joyce is asking, well, but what happens when he can't remember? What happens, when it's taken all that is left of my boy? And now we're with Steve and Dustin, where they're walking down these train tracks. Look familiar? And
Sure does.
Yeah,
Sure
they're
does.
they're leaving a trail of meat, and this is not bologna anymore. It's like they have like huge, huge like chunks of T-bone. I don't know what they're spreading out like for the I guess to set a
It's not. Can't be T-bone. Like it's like ground
I don't
beef.
know. That's a lot of meat. They're just kind of
They got a lot of
they
meat.
went to Costco
No
for
doubt
this.
about that. They
Yeah.
have because they're taking like random
Yes.
handfuls of it. It's not like they sliced up
Yeah, like
steak.
where okay.
They had to have ground it at
Yeah.
least.
So they're leaving a trail of meat, and Steve is giving Dustin a hard time. He's saying, "Wait, so you brought a girl a slug, trying to impress her, and you just met this girl? What's happening here?" And Steve is telling him that he'll feel an electricity, um, and you know, then you can make your move. Like that's the moment to make your move with this girl, and.
Listen, this is the moment. Let's forget what happens. This is the moment with Steve. This is where Steve becomes a likable character.
Yeah.
Right here. This walking down the train tracks with Dustin, talking to him as the older brother who's not really a brother, but the older figure in his life that's still in high school, explaining how to get girls and also giving him the whole rundown on Fabergé organics and not when your hair is wet.
Oh my
when it's damp, you use 4 puffs of the Farrah Fawcett spray.
Don't
That's
tell
how you get
anyone
this look.
that I said that, or your ass is
No,
grass. Yeah.
so right, so he's also confiding in him, but threatening him in the way that a brother would, and this is where Steve becomes so likable. Because you now see that he's not that guy that we saw running around with those idiot friends in the first season. We know that this has been in Steve, but to see him connect with Dustin, not Nancy, not even Jonathan, but one of the younger kids, this is huge for him. And this is when everything's like, oh, this combo, I like watching this. I'm all on board the Steve Dustin bandwagon, and it takes until Dustin connects with Steve to make Steve this likable,
And maybe,
in my opinion.
maybe that's also why they were really pulling Dustin away from the group and making him not so likable himself either, because then the two of them combined, it's like they could sort of redeem each other a little bit here, because Dustin was...
I don't know if they didn't make Dustin like. See, I don't know. Listen, I know that for 2 episodes in a row, he was your least favorite character, and he was my least favorite character in the 3rd episode. But I still will say I never thought he was unlikable. He just made some mistakes. So I don't know that Dustin's character needs to be redeemed, but Steve going through all this just shows the side of Steve that we want to see. Yeah. It shows that he is friendly and compassionate and he's not a bully, because if Billy was in this situation, he wouldn't even talk to Dustin.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's a jerk. Right.
And if Steve's friend from last season, who I forget his name, Tommy, that's it. If Tommy was in this situation, he's not talking to Dustin. Right. Steve is willing to listen and talk and help him. And then help him like with his future life and how he can go ahead and get girls and what he can do. Whether his advice is good or bad is irrelevant. He's sharing what he knows or what has worked for him, and that works. That is the beginning of Steve becoming a fan favorite, in my opinion. No, this moment right here.
I agree with that. And then we have Hopper trying to reach 11 on his radio in his truck, and he's saying it's not about you, and he's not mad, he's just sorry, and sorry about everything. He doesn't want her to get hurt, and he's really talking to her here like she's his daughter. If anything, Eric, I would say in my mind, I'm hearing this like, this is a little weird because she's not his daughter, and I think his like level of just like transference is pretty intense here because it's sort of when you take it really in the context of what's happened. I mean, I don't know. It's very intense.
You know, it is, but at the same time, for the last few months, for the last year, really, Hopper and Eleven have only had each other.
Well, 11's only had.
So I don't think it's that crazy.
I don't know. It's a lot, but you hear his words playing through a radio in another room, but you don't see anyone listening.
Well, it's in the cabin.
It's in the cabin, but you don't see
like
her
he's communicating to the cabin, but the cabin appears empty, and so he's making this grand apology over the radio, which is also, you know, it's going to be hard for him to apologize to her face to face. So he's doing this over the radio. It's this very heartfelt, emotional apology because he's now basically just left her there for days and is very apologetic about everything. He has no idea that she's not there.
Yeah.
So she's not hearing any of this. Now, theoretically, we know that she can hear over the radio waves from a distance.
Right.
So
that
it's plausible that she can hear this. But
that's kind of how I took that he was trying to reach
her
no matter where she was. But yeah, not at the cabin. And then we have a room of white coats again, and they're all basically giving up on Will. And, you know, one doctor is saying at the rate that this is spreading, he'll be dead by the end of the day. And this is where I have in my notes, you know, it seems like Dr. Owens is really the only one who does genuinely want to help him and seems really concerned with what's happening to Will. So
here's the thing, I guess. The doctors who want to just like kill Will to save the rest.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, it's a very plausible, not humane thing to do, but when you're talking about, hey, sacrifice one to save the entire town, I get that. I get that thought process. At the same time, Dr. Owens is unwilling to do so. And this is where, like you said, he has his moment of, you know, I'm not going to say redemption because I don't know that he ever did anything wrong.
Yeah.
But you just assume the guy, the leader of the Department of Energy is going to be terrible. So he now kind of stands up as a good guy to have around, where he's not willing to sacrifice Will to save the town. He's going to try to come up with a way to use Will. And I think if I'm Dr. Owens, that makes the most sense to me. Because, you could extinguish Will and then have the entire town potentially be saved. But at the same time, you have something now that you will never have again. You have access on a level that you're never going to get. And Will is the only one that has been to the upside down in that level, that has that sort of connection.
And they don't know.
No one else is ever going to get that.
They have no idea what the consequences, even if they were to take out Will, what that would even look like or mean. So
no, you know, no idea. But I understand
Joyce demanding to be let through these doors so that she can get answers, and they're holding her back, and she's screaming, and Will can hear her, but he's in like this dream state sort of, and he's picturing the fire and the tunnels, and then Mike wakes him up, and, you know, he can see his mom in the other room though, so he's still tapping into these other. It's like his mind's eye is able to have these visions that are not what he's actually experiencing there in the room. And he's saying, you know, the shadow monster, I think I know how to stop him. Then we
Right.
have Steve and Dustin again, and they're arriving at the junkyard. So this is where those train tracks were leading. This is, that same spot where they were in that school bus that was broken down. And
Yeah, the spot where like 11 threw Lucas
exactly.
against the other
Yeah, where
car and
Hopper
stuff. Yeah.
saved them finally. So they're back in that school bus, and Lucas and Mike. Well, they're not back in the bus yet, but this is the junkyard where the bus is. Lucas and Max are arriving at the same time, just from the other side of the junkyard, and Steve is asking Dustin, "Who's that with Lucas?" And then Steve sees Dustin's face and kind of puts two and two together. Oh, this is the girl that we were talking about earlier. And
Right.
Lucas and Dustin are then catching up kind of behind this car, and Dustin is all like, "You told her? What the heck, man?" And Lucas is calling him out for bringing Steve along, and so they're sort of going back and forth, and he's like, "Listen, no one was around. This is why I brought Steve Harrington." And Lucas is saying, "She didn't believe me anyway." So he's assuring him, "Listen, Max doesn't even know what she's getting herself into." Steve comes over. I love this when he's like, "All right, guys, we have a plan here. Hello." Like he's the one keeping them on track as they're sort of, just chatting behind a car. So,
But it was noteworthy that behind the car, Lucas said like, "Hey, are we good?" And he reached out his hand to shake, which we know their group's policy
yes.
is if you're the one to make the mistake, then you have to be the one to apologize and offer to shake hands first. So I think Lucas does know in this situation that by telling
He
Max
broke the code.
he's the one that
Yeah.
made a mistake here. Yeah. And so he's offering apologies. Dustin doesn't shake his hand. Not that he
But then
wouldn't
Steve comes
have,
up.
but Steve interrupted at that moment. And so that handshake
Yeah.
never
They have a
transpires.
bad track record of the two of them not quite making the handshake. Um, then we have Hopper, uh, so this is where Hopper is telling the doctors to shut up and let Will focus on the pictures. So Eric, this is probably the scene that you were thinking of earlier.
This is what I thought
Yeah.
you were talking about earlier with the pictures, because again, you go back to the very beginning of this episode where these guys are in there snapping photos of everything, and I'm thinking to myself, they're just out here like they were at the Wheeler's house, like snapping pictures of everything saying, "Oh, it's the Russians. Don't worry. We just need evidence that this girl may or may not have been here."
But Will is
It felt very much like that, but here we are now. Now all those pictures have been compiled. Will can look at the entire map that he drew out on a table through Polaroids, and that is incredibly helpful. And so maybe the Department of Energy is not the worst thing. Maybe they're not undercutting them so much. Dr.
Yeah.
Owens certainly doesn't seem to be.
right.
So he's got the map.
And Will is pointing to this spot and he's saying he knows it's very important. It doesn't want me to see it there. So he has a
Yeah,
feeling.
because they ask like, "Well, what's here?" And he's like, "I don't know," but he doesn't want me to see this.
Right.
So they say, "All right, well, let's go see if we can figure it out."
Yeah, and then we sort of have this sequence where we're flashing back and forth between what the kids are doing in the junkyard and then what the guys in the lab are following the map that Will drew. So we have the kids creating this trap in the junkyard, and they're getting in the bus. So they're essentially putting out a bunch of this meat under containers to try to trap Dart. And the hazmat suit guys are following this map that Will drew. Lucas is now on top of the bus with his binoculars, and it is way too quiet. Like, it gets really, really quiet here, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's never a good sign. It's always the calm before the storm. And inside,
This is my moment too, where Lucas is sitting on top of the bus.
yeah,
All the kids are there. It's way late at night,
yeah.
and I'm like, "Where are the parents? How do you not know where these kids are at? Like,
They're
you
all
don't
over
know.
each other's houses.
They all think they're all at the wrong place. Like, come on,
Yeah.
parents, where are we at? Like, we should be here. Like, they should know something about this, but nevertheless, They're
Well,
hanging out on top of the bus waiting for a Demogorgon to show up.
and I love how inside the bus, Max is still asking, "Are we sure that this isn't just a big bear or something?" And you know, they're saying, "Well, just Lucas is then
Like,
kind of
don't be an
snapping
idiot.
back
That's
at this
stupid.
point." Right. And oh no, I'm sorry, it's not Lucas who's snapping back, it's Dustin who is saying,
Yes.
because he's frustrated and saying, "Just go home if you don't believe us then." And you know, it's
And then
just,
she climbs on top of the bus, and Steve's like, "Nice, sure you don't care."
oh, that's right. Yeah,
and I'm
he's
like,
winking
"Yeah,
at,
maybe
yeah.
maybe not always the hey, listen, that advice is not the worst advice. That being said, that wasn't the way to do it, and it certainly isn't the way to do it when clearly we're working towards Lucas and Max."
Yeah. So then we have Max and Lucas talking, and this is where she shares that her dad is actually still in California because
Yes.
her parents split up, and her mom and her stepdad wanted a fresh start away from him. And now, Billy, her stepbrother, is just angry all of the time. And she doesn't want to be like her brother, angry all the time, but she knows that it can come out. And I like this scene with Lucas too, because he's reassuring her, "You're nothing like your brother, okay? You're cool and different and smart." And oh, they like each other, you can tell here.
Yep.
And yeah,
Now, Max does also say with the original, like her actual dad, not stepdad,
yeah,
in California, that she clearly connected with him.
yeah.
Like she makes it sound like, well, my mom and stepdad wanted a fresh start because they thought he was the problem. He's not the problem.
No.
Like she knows he's not the problem. So from her
Right.
perspective, dad, or like actual dad, birth dad, not the problem here, but now she has no access to him.
Well, and you can tell it's like, well, clearly the mom and stepdad, okay, so they're around, but where the heck are they? Like, not in that house.
There's no parents in this town.
What is happening here? So,
It's just, this is like the Truman Show with only children. Like there are no
Wow.
parents in this town, really.
wait, how is that like the Truman Show?
It's just like a bubble, like an experiment of a kid-run town.
Oh my God.
No, I mean, it's not exactly like Truman, but like, we're just putting a bubble over Hawkins and saying,
Oh my-
wouldn't that be something
Well,
if season 5 ended that way? And they like pan back and they're like, yeah, we know the parents aren't ever involved. Like, it's just the kids. And we like created this weird upside down thing because
think
we
so.
are owning both sides. That would be crazy.
Okay.
People would be so mad.
Okay.
People
right.
would be
I was
so
gonna say, are
mad.
we saying that the children of Hawkins are in a television show that maybe the
'Cause they are.
parents are all watching somewhere? Yeah, it's all right. Well,
I'm just saying.
but
Listen,
as
shows have ended stupider ways.
oh,
Like,
oh my, I would be so pissed if that was, oh my God. If
that's
that
what I'm
was-
saying. That
that's
would be the people would be so mad
Oh,
if the
that's
show
not
ended
okay.
that way
Right.
or in some way like that.
They were
Oh my
all
gosh.
just dreaming. Yeah, no. That's,
It was all a dream.
Oh, that's like the end of Lost. Don't even get me started. That was one of the worst endings ever. But fight me on that. But here, I do like how Max and Lucas, they're having this sweet moment, and then of course what do you hear in the background but the Demogorgon screaming in the distance, and Lucas pulls out his binoculars and he thinks he can now see it, and Max is still asking, "Are you still sure it's not a dog?" And it's like,
You
what?
sure that's not a dog?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay. Listen, Max, settle down.
No.
Like, you're new to this. We know what we're looking at.
Oh yeah, and Steve.
But I do the camera perspective. It was just a small 4-legged thing, because this is not the big Demogorgon. This is a little Demogorgon.
Oh, but it has not learned how to walk on its back. Its 2 legs yet, so it is still
Not yet.
down on its 4 legs. And if this thing is a dog, I still would not want anything to do with that dog. So Steve
No.
is going outside at this point.
Well, he realizes.
Oh,
Listen,
Oh,
it doesn't want like just this.
Meat.
It
it wants to hunt.
It doesn't want. It wants to hunt. So let's give it something live. So Steve walks out the bus like he's heading out there with his bat, swinging it like he's getting ready to like take on this Demogorgon.
He reminds me of like, oh yeah,
oh my goodness, I will say this: I absolutely love the reaction from the kids here that are on the bus as they watch Steve walk out, and Max says he's insane, and Dustin says he's awesome.
Oh god. This is where Dustin and Steve start their bromance. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Dustin is way behind this. Max is looking at it like, maybe you could pump the brakes here.
Yeah.
But
Steve is whistling.
Here we go.
He's, waving the bat around, saying, come on, buddy, it's dinner time. And this Demogorgon is like a zombie cat thing, except, guess what, Steve? Now there's two. At least.
Yeah.
And
more. There were
surrounded.
At least 4.
And
yeah,
Dustin
thank
like,
God for
abort.
Lucas being on top of the bus.
Yeah.
Thank God for Lucas.
Yeah, and they're yelling, abort, abort. And Steve finally is quick on his toes and he makes it back into the bus. And that thing is just bashing at the door. It is now on top of the bus. They're surrounded still. I was a little bit confused. Like, did one of them make it into the bus? Because you see Steve, like, bashing something in with the bat. Did one of them start to make it in and he killed it?
No,
or at least...
No. One of them definitely was, like, pushing on the door. So, like, they had put some sort of steel plate against the back of the bus door.
Oh,
so
okay.
Steve was holding it with his feet, and then it clearly maybe broke the glass.
Okay.
And then Steve is swinging the bat at it to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
But then you get the moment over by the hatch at the top where the Demogorgon is looking down the ladder into the bus, and you go, oh, crap. They have figured out how to access this thing.
Oh, these things are smart.
And Max gets the first look here and screams. Yeah. And to me, I go, hey, welcome to the party. You now are in the know.
Had the same exact thought. It's like, well, now she's going to believe the story. It's like, now this
right.
is... Yeah.
But then Steve rushes in, gets over there, and the Demogorgon you see takes a look to the left, and then they're all gone.
Yeah, it sees Steve with the bat and is like, you know what, though? I have something else I need to do right now, and you don't know what in that moment, but it is running off. And...
Yes. And as the camera pans down, you see Max and Lucas holding hands because they're genuinely afraid. Mm-hmm. And then
Dustin sees,
they kind of like slow. No, he does. He does see. He does see. Sorry, not no. Yes, he does see. But then we get this moment where they kind of walk out and they're trying to figure out like, well, why'd the Demogorgon just leave? Mm-hmm. And Dustin's saying, well, Steve scared him off. Again, super infatuated now with Steve and how great Steve is that he showed up and they all just ran off. And Steve's like, no.
They're going somewhere.
No way. They're going somewhere.
They're on a mission. They don't just like run off.
And this is where we're connecting the storylines. Where we have now what's happening in the tunnels with these gentlemen who are following Will's map.
That's right, because now we're with the Hazmat crew in these tunnels, and they are where Hopper had been now. So they're back where like all those bones from the animals were.
He recognized it immediately. Right. Hopper did.
Yeah, because they're watching it on like a camera that must be hooked up to one of the guys, and he notices the graveyard, and, they say the kid is full of shit until, oh man, some kind of fog is rolling in. And then you see Will in the hospital, in his bed, saying he's very sorry to Joyce. And Joyce is like, what are you saying? What do you mean? What are you sorry? And he's saying, it made me do it. And Will is saying, I told you. They upset him, and they shouldn't have done that.
Mike is the only one, and like Mike is like in because he's got that D&D background. Right. He gets the gameplay. He understands the supernatural here. And so Mike is like, oh my God, it's a trap.
Spy.
Like this the spy. We have to fix this. And he starts trying to run through the guards at the door, and that's never going to happen.
Yeah, he's saying, I need to warn them. And as Mike is trying to get through saying, I need to warn them, you flash to the scene where the Demogorgon is just in these tunnels, and he is attacking all these hazmat dudes. And Joyce is telling Will to help her understand. But Will is saying it's too late. And you just see all these guys getting torn up and taken out by the Demogorgon. And Will is saying to Joyce that she should go now. They're almost here. So
Right.
Then you see Hopper looking down the elevator shaft where these guys had been lowered. And as the camera is panning down, you just see this Demogorgon claw like appear out of nowhere, and it is pulling itself right up, and that is not good. And that's where they leave us.
Well, this is why you don't leave access.
Right. They should have sealed that thing off every single time. There should be like a steel door.
Yeah. Now they're going to have to detonate the entire Department of Energy. What are they going to do here? The great way to end it, though. Great ending. Good. Where you get the one clawing its way up and you go, oh, man. Yeah. We're going to come into the next episode and it's going to be right at that
literally
second. It's time to go.
Literally a cliffhanger. But
literally a cliffhanger. Or a climber, I guess. I don't know. He's climbing up. Okay, so now we're going to jump into our IMDb ratings portion of our episode where we talk about the ratings for this episode, what we think, what the fans have all voted on IMDb, and we're going to mention our favorite and least favorite character from this episode. Amanda, I'm going to kick it off to you. Do you want to start with favorite or least favorite?
Yeah, I'm going to start with favorite.
Okay.
For this episode, Lucas was my favorite character. Really did an awesome job here. You know, he brought Max into the fold, who's going to be a great addition to their group. And he really tried to go out of his way to make amends with Dustin, too, as you had pointed out. And, you know, he also, I liked that scene where he connected with Max and got her to open up and get out of her shell a little bit. But also just being the lookout on the top of this bus and alerting Steve, because like you said, if it wasn't for him on the top of the bus, Steve would have no longer been with us. I mean, that is a fact. So he was my favorite.
Okay.
How about you, Eric? Who is your favorite for this episode?
I really like Lucas a lot. And it was down to Lucas or this other person for me, but I'm going with this other one, and I'm going with Murray.
Oh!
I'm going with Murray.
Oh my God.
Murray.
So good.
Murray spent not nearly as much screen time as everybody else on this episode. Mm-hmm. But when he was on camera, he was awesome.
So funny.
And I loved watching Murray's. Every scene that he was in was fantastic for me. His jokes just landed. And he was obviously the change of pace for otherwise what is a very serious episode. So I do like what Murray brought to the table here. But otherwise, it would either be Lucas or Steve. I think there is no problem. I think we're about to enter into a long window of me picking Steve as a favorite. So both Lucas and Steve, I feel like, had very great stories here. I'm here for both of them. And I will say my least favorite is a lot harder to pick from because I like a lot of what everybody did. Yeah. So I'm going to actually pick Joyce as my least favorite. And I'm going to pick Joyce because I wish she had told Bob everything. And I also want her to understand, like, you can't take Will to a hospital.
Yeah.
Like, that's a ridiculous argument to make. You can't do that. this is not a medical issue. Stop
Right.
thinking that you're going to like fix that. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
This is not real. This is
Yeah.
a experimental situation that we're in.
Yeah.
This is the only place that knows about it. What are you saying? You want him transferred? That's insane.
Yeah.
So,
no,
oh,
I
sorry, I unplugged my headphones on accident.
Oh.
So yeah, I just yeah, that's not the way. So
yeah.
for what it's worth.
I struggled with picking a least favorite character in this episode too, and I know we try to kind of pick different folks too. Well, not really try to go out of our way, but it's always good if we sort of have different little pitches for people.
Well-
but at the same time, it was either between Joyce and Bob, because I feel like Bob could have
Oh.
like inserted himself a little bit more, like, hey
Sure.
guys, what the heck is actually going on? You know, because he really cares about these boys at this point. But I feel like it's more on Joyce to have like, hey, let me just, you know, you seem to really be there for me. I mean, Bob is the whole reason why they were able to save Hopper's life in the first place. Maybe give, you know, bring him into the fold, Joyce. Like, show a little bit more trust here and really tell him the full picture, which I'm glad you pointed that out, Eric, because I was thinking, oh, she told him, but he just wasn't getting it. I don't know. I didn't follow that. Yeah. So yeah, I am gonna go with Joyce as well. I mean, the only other option for me would have been Dart. And I know that I don't, you know.
You can't pick Dart. Dart.
I could pick Dart if I wanted to.
I mean, like the
Dart, we thought you were all cute, but you're
No.
not. You're evil.
No.
So.
Yeah, I don't know how long we thought it was all that cute for either.
No.
Like,
but
like in all honesty, the other character that I would say I disliked in this episode would have been Billy.
well,
Like,
I mean,
there's no reason to like Billy at this point in
Yeah.
time. And I know that
Correct.
down the line we will come around on Billy a little bit,
yeah.
or at least some people do. Some people
Yeah.
don't still, but we have this episode had a situation where I feel like everybody did what I wanted them to do.
Yeah.
And so when I see Joyce running down the hall, like physically trying to break through, I go, yeah, I get it. Like I would probably be doing that if I was a
Yeah.
parent as well. That being said, the other stuff, it's the smaller things that happened that
Yeah,
could have
she
been
should be-
better.
She should be past the idea of taking him to any other hospital at this point because of what she's seen.
They're all going to like
herself,
check
what
him
she
for a
knows.
fever. Like,
What
he's
are
fine.
they going to tell? Right. Like, do you
Like,
really think they're going to listen to you talking about any of what Will has gone through? I mean, you're not going to want to, you can't share that with them anyway.
No.
So
no.
what's going to happen?
It's crazy. That's a silly idea.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get into the ratings. I will say this.
Yeah.
Again, this season has the fans just elevating and elevating and elevating. It was 8-1 to 8-2 to 8-5, 8-5, 8-8 last week. I am not shocked if this goes higher. It's my favorite episode of the season so far, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have been elevating with the fans for the last 3 episodes. I'm not, oh man, I really want to go to 9 here, but I'm
Yeah.
not gonna. I'm
Okay.
not gonna. I'm gonna, because I had an 8.6 on Dig Dug, and I feel like there's so much more to come that I'm gonna be over 9, maybe the rest of the way. So I'm gonna go to an 8.8. I don't know that it's gonna get to 9. It might, but we'll see.
Yeah. And
So I'm gonna give it an 8.8.
For me, I dipped down a little bit for the 4th
Oh.
episode.
Oh yes, you did, but then you bounced back.
Yeah, but then the last one I was up to like an 8.6, and I feel like, and I like this one even more, so I went up to an 8.7 for this episode. But I
8.7,
feel like
okay.
the same way. I'm like, yeah, this could be, but I also like know what's still to come, and it's like I like this one a lot for sure. I don't know. So I stuck with the 8.7. I love the parts with Dustin and Steve, and good to see Jonathan and Nancy together
Yeah.
too, and
Yep.
just love
And
to see
Murray.
Steve being part of the gang and bringing
Well,
Murray
that's
in, and yeah.
so I was torn between like 8, 7, 8, 8. And then I was like, do I want to go up to 9? And my reasoning for wanting to go up to 9 is like, the Steve and Dustin angle, and Murray. Murray was great. But I don't know that it'll get there. It might, though.
You know what was very different about this episode, though? Who did we not
What's
see?
that? Oh, yeah. No 11 at all.
No 11 at all.
Yeah, none. First episode where she's not present at all. Not in a photo.
No.
I only mentioned by name
Once.
when Hopper says it when he's apologizing to her.
Yeah.
Had we not had that scene, they wouldn't have even thought about her in this episode.
So just the fact that I was up to an 8-7, that was kind of, I'm like, well, what's kind of missing? Oh, wait, 11. That would have definitely pushed things over the edge. We also didn't get Mr. Wheeler. He was not in this at all. You saw...
That does not set me back one little bit.
Yeah.
Not even a touch.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. The IMDb. Oh, here it is. Okay, the IMDb rating for this episode. Episode 6, Chapter 6, The Spy. 9.1.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
That. Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Like, I thought about getting there. It's a real good one. It may be one that I look back on the rest of the way and go, I did really like that one a lot.
Right. Right.
But because listen, I loved Murray in this episode, obviously, and I love Dustin and Steve like banding together. I love that scene with the two of them.
Yeah.
So it's not shocking. Will also, we don't talk about him as a character as much as we probably should whenever we're picking like favorites, because it's always everything that's happening like around Will.
I know.
But Will was awesome in this episode.
He
was great.
Honestly, like I was saying, I want to just restate how Will that actor seems to transform just his facial expressions, and really you understand just by looking at him if he's there or not. Like if he is.
They cast some real talented kids here, is what they did.
They really, really did. I mean, it blows my mind whenever I see any child actor, being able to pull off a role. It's like, what how at that age are you able to comprehend, acting at all?
Acting to that magnitude,
and
too.
to this level where then, these kids, last night, we were actually watching, I don't know, Eric, if you've ever seen the show Hot Ones, where...
No. Is this The Wings? Is this The Wings?
It's so
so
good. And he interviews all these different people.
I've seen, clips on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, you need to watch this, where he's a very good interviewer and loves how he just asks people all these really good questions while they're eating very intense, spicy hot wings or hot tofu or whatever the person wants to eat with this hot sauce on it. Either way, we were watching one last night where he was interviewing Winona Ryder. And she was talking about just her experience on the show, a bunch of things, but was really driving home. Listen, these kids grew up on this show. Like this is half of their lives at this point has been on this show. And so I think the question was around, is it how emotional is it for you to when something like this ends? And in her career already, she's been in a lot of projects that start and finish, but for these kids, this is really it. And you kind of wonder, what are these relationships going to be like after? Am I still going to know these people?
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't, at least not on that level. So it really almost is something that you're mourning the loss of. I know even as viewers, we can feel that way when we are with a bunch of characters for a long time. So I can only imagine what it's like for, these child actors who really dedicate so much time and so much emotion to these roles, and
Yeah.
especially when they're this good. Yeah.
So obviously we do another podcast on Friends. I would be shocked if we're not looking back years from now on these child actors saying that's the group. That's the group. Like, a generation will remember this group as being like their group of people. When you look at Friends, what they've done outside, obviously Jennifer Aniston has done a number of things. Obviously, Courtney Cox has been involved in a lot of projects as well. Maybe not as many popular ones. Both Matthew Perry and Matt LeBlanc have done extra things. I feel like David Schwimmer has kind of stayed on the production side of a lot of things, and he's kind of made cameos, every now and then in places.
Yeah.
And
Kardashian and
Lisa
O.J.
Kudrow is
Simpson.
kind of, Lisa Kudrow's just kind of been around and doing different things, but Jennifer Aniston's been the one that like jumps out as a star.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I won't be shocked if Millie Bobby Brown ends up like launching into the stratosphere somewhere. And the rest of these guys all end up just kind of floating around, doing things in and out. But we're always going to want to see them all together.
Yeah.
And I think there will be moments where they do like Stranger Things reunion episode or whatever, and they bring them all back together for something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is going to be one of those groups that we see just kind of connected over the years, like the Friends cast is.
Yeah. No,
Now they were all older. The Friends group was all older when they did this.
Yeah.
So that does weigh in, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's true, because when there is sort of that stereotype too, that when kids start acting real young, like around this age, it doesn't always go so well.
No.
They don't always
No,
turn
it doesn't.
out so great. So yeah, but hopefully, I mean, listen, they have the support of Winona Ryder. That'd be a great on-set mom to have. She's so awesome. I love her.
Well, thank you so much for listening to the We Run on Reruns podcast. Please check us out on our socials, Instagram, TikTok, and our YouTube channel. Again, we really appreciate all the support there. If you could share or repost or like any of our reels or shorts, we'd really appreciate it. You can check out our website at werunonreruns.com. And for Amanda, this is Eric. Enjoy watching episode 7 of Stranger Things Season 2 this week. Happy rerunning and happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye, guys.